Fantastic. Fantastic. And it's already in use. Yeah?
Your Royal Highness, Your Excellencies, Lords, Ladies and Gentlemen, please take your seats. Thank you.
It's a mobile charger. Let's get up there. Graduate this event. What's this one? What's this thing here?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I saw one of these 20 years ago in Johnson Matthew in what was my class. They try and separate hydrogen and oxygen. You use plastic. How much energy do you have to use? There's a button here saying stop, so I press that. Very good. Fantastic. Congratulations.
So another 3 of the finalists for climate change. But we love everybody, and everyone in the families is raising funds for everybody, so they can go to step and we want to help them.
Well, I'm sure. Look, you know what seriously what you need to do is to make hydrogen for planes. That's what it's called Kenyatta. Where are you based? Good, we're really good. Thank you. How are you? Yes, I do. This is fantastic.
Your Royal Highness, Your Excellencies, Lords, ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. Our presentation is about to begin. Thank you.
Where do you want us to go?
Our natural world has given us everything we need to survive and thrive, allowing us to lay the foundations of our successful civilization. Our desire for progress is boundless, our ingenuity astonishing. Breakthrough innovations like the wheel and electricity, plus modern medicine, technology, and engineering have improved the way we live, work, and connect with each other forever. We are the most intelligent beings on the planet, and yet we're destroying our only home. We have reached a turning point for humanity. We now must work together and use our ingenuity to tackle the climate crisis before it's too late. More progress is needed fast. From the types of energy we produce, to the ways we power our lives and get around, right down to the ground beneath our feet. What we do today could transform our economies and societies, impacting the planet for millennia. The following sectors contribute to over 50% of all greenhouse gas emissions: power generation, road transport, steel manufacturing, and agriculture. Cleaning up these sectors will help us halve global emissions by 2030 and keep 1.5 degrees warming within reach. Protecting vital ecosystems, communities, and future generations, and boosting jobs and livelihoods globally. This vision can only be realized if we all work together. We've already made significant progress, but the pace of change is still far behind what is needed. That is why we're launching the Breakthrough Agenda, a global pact to work together to dramatically scale up clean technologies and drive down costs, making them affordable and available to everyone. Countries, businesses, people, and organizations from all over the world are coming together to make clean power the most affordable and reliable option for all countries. Zero-emission vehicles, the new normal. Green steel, the preferred choice in global markets. Affordable, renewable, and low-carbon hydrogen, globally available. And make sustainable food and land systems more economical and attractive in all regions by 2030. By working together, we can harness the power of clean technology and innovation. Let's make the 2020s a decade of delivery.
Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, hello, and welcome to this accelerating clean technology innovation and deployment event. Thank you for being here today. I am Dana Strong, Chief Executive of Sky, a COP26 principal partner and media partner. In 2006, Sky became the world's first carbon-neutral media company. And this last February, we announced plans to reach net zero by 2030. To do that, we're transforming our business, cutting the carbon emissions created by us, by our suppliers, and by the use of our products in customers' homes by at least 50%. And yesterday, we released a new study here at COP on the power of TV to drive more sustainable behaviors from our viewers. Success across these areas will take collaboration, inspiring as many people as we can to join us on the race to zero, and investment in clean tech. That is why it is an honor to be here moderating this event, where we will see leaders, businesses, civil society, and young innovators all showing a commitment to work together to make this a decade of delivery. It's simple. We must act now to avert catastrophic climate change. To enable that, we must ensure that clean technology is the most accessible, affordable, and attractive option everywhere. That's exactly what we're here to talk about today. First, we will hear from a group of world leaders who have announced ambitious net zero targets and are taking steps to make them real this decade. We will then hear from the Duke of Cambridge and Venetia Amushankar about the Earthshot Prize and the inspiring innovations that are happening on the ground. Finally, we'll hear from businesses who are leading the way. It's now my honor to introduce our panel of world leaders and welcome and invite them to take their seats on stage. Please welcome His Excellency Mr. Hage Geingob, President of Namibia. Her Excellency Ms. Ursula von der Leyen, President of the European Commission, European Union. His Excellency Mr. Joseph Biden, President of the United States of America. His Excellency Mr. Narendra Modi, Prime Minister of India. His Excellency, Mr. Uhuru Kenyatta, President of the Republic of Kenya. His Excellency, Mr. Assis Akanouch, Prime Minister of Morocco. Finally, may I please welcome His Excellency Boris Johnson, MP, Prime Minister of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, to the right lectern to kick off this first segment of the event.
Thank you very much, Dana. Well, good evening, everybody. Good afternoon, I should say, ladies and gentlemen. It's fantastic to see you all here, and I know that you'll have been paying attention scrupulously to everything I've been saying throughout this extraordinary summit, but I want to remind you of some key figures that you are worth remembering. And I just want to remind you that when I was a kid in this country, we got 80% of our power from coal. When I was Mayor of London, and I first met some of my fellow world leaders, we got 40% of our power from coal. Today, that figure is down to 1% and it's going to zero by 2024. We're going to zero emissions for our vehicles, for our new cars by 2030. We're going to net zero for our whole power generation sector by 2035, not even making use of gas. How is it possible to do this? It's through technology. It's through the Promethean power of human invention. That is what is enabling us to make the progress that we are. And I want to see here from the Glasgow breakthroughs a new surge of initiatives to deal with some of the outstanding problems. And let me give you one in particular, and that is aviation. And it's a tough nut to crack. And we're spending, I think I can see Bill Gates dimly over there. I can see Bill Gates. Now, Bill and I just agreed jointly to spend, I think, £400 million trying to solve the problems of low-carbon aviation, zero guilt-free aviation. And we've got to fix it. I'm going to be flying in a plane quite soon that has, I think, 35% sustainable aviation fuel. I mean, and the target at the moment is to get to 10% sustainable aviation fuel for the whole world by 2030. How pathetic is that? We can do better than that, folks. It was 100 years ago that Alcock and Brown, I think it was Alcock and Brown, flew the Atlantic for the first time, didn't they, with about 865 imperial gallons of petrol. We've made virtually no progress technologically since then in our approach to sending a plane up over the Atlantic. I want to see Alcock. I want to see, never mind Alcock, I want to see Alcock as the skipper of the next Jet Zero plane that will not rely on fossil fuels at all. And I think that we should be far, far more ambitious. And I just want to say thank you to His Royal Highness the Duke of Cambridge, because I think the Earthshot Prize is a terrific initiative. And I've just met some young people who've got plans for getting rid of, there's a machine over there about the size of a microwave. It looks suspiciously like a microwave, actually, that apparently can make very cheap hydrogen. Isn't that fantastic? I believe it. I'm a taker. She gave me her card. This could be the future. I think that we can crack these problems. And there are basically 5 key areas where we want to see the breakthroughs take place. They're in transport, they're in steel, they're in hydrogen, they're in agriculture, and above all, they're in power generation. And we can fix it. Go back to that initial statistic that I began with. We can do extraordinary things. You may not think that the weather is particularly beautiful here in the UK. Actually, it's wonderful, isn't it? The weather's not too bad today. It's been fantastic. Hasn't been quite up to Kenyan standards, Uhuru, but it's been pretty sunny today. And there are many days in which, thanks to our combination of solar and wind, we produce more than 50% of our energy from renewables. What we want, the whole objective of this summit now, is to take these inventions, take these breakthroughs, and get the finance, get the support to make sure that they are disseminated, they are spread around the whole world, so that the whole world shares in the Glasgow breakthroughs and shares in our agenda, and that we unite across the whole planet to tackle climate change. And there's one guy who particularly understands how to do that and who shares that agenda and who understands that a single hour of sunshine provides enough energy to power the whole Earth for a year. You know that, to power all human activity on Earth, I should say, for a year. The one man who understands that so well and who's achieved absolutely extraordinary things in his own country of India is the Prime Minister of India. And ladies and gentlemen, excellencies, there is one sun, one world, one grid, one Narendra Modi, and I have great pleasure in handing over to Narendra. Over to you.
एक्सेलेंसीज, नमस्कार। आज वन सन, वन वर्ल्ड, वन ग्रिड, इसके लॉन्च पर आप सभी का स्वागत है। वन सन, वन वर्ल्ड, वन ग्रिड की मेरी कई सालों पुरानी परिकल्पना को आज इंटरनेशनल सोलर अलायंस और यूके के ग्रीन ग्रिड इनिशिएटिव के पहल से एक ठोस रूप मिला है। एक्सेलेंसीज, इंडस्ट्रियल रिवॉल्यूशन को फॉसिल फ्यूल से ऊर्जा दी थी। फॉसिल फ्यूल्स के उपयोग से कई देश तो समृद्ध हुए, किंतु हमारी धरती, हमारा पर्यावरण निर्धन हो गए। फॉसिल फ्यूल्स की होड़ ने जियोपॉलिटिकल तनाव भी खड़े किए, लेकिन आज टेक्नोलॉजी ने हमें एक बेहतरीन विकल्प दिया है। एक्सेलेंसीज, हमारे यहां हजारों वर्ष पूर्व सूर्योपनिषद में कहा गया है, सूर्याद भवन्ति भूतानि सूर्येण पालिताति तू, अर्थात सब कुछ सूर्य से ही उत्पन्न हुआ है, सबकी ऊर्जा का स्रोत सूर्य ही है और सूर्य की ऊर्जा से ही सबका पालन होता है। पृथ्वी पर जब से जीवन उत्पन्न हुआ, तभी से सभी प्राणियों का जीवन चक्र, उनकी दिनचर्या सूर्य के उदय और अस्त से जुड़ी रही है। जब तक यह प्राकृतिक कनेक्शन बना रहा, तब तक हमारा प्लेनेट भी स्वस्थ रहा। लेकिन आधुनिक काल में मनुष्य ने सूर्य द्वारा स्थापित चक्र से आगे निकलने की होड़ में प्राकृतिक संतुलन को डिस्टर्ब किया और अपने पर्यावरण का बड़ा नुकसान भी कर लिया। अगर हमें फिर से प्रकृति के साथ संतुलित जीवन का संबंध स्थापित करना है, तो इसका रास्ता हमारे सूर्य से ही प्रकाशित होगा। मानवता के भविष्य को बचाने के लिए हमें फिर से सूरज के साथ चलना होगा। एक्सेलेंसीज, जितनी ऊर्जा पूरी मानव जाति साल भर में उपयोग करती है, उतनी ऊर्जा सूर्य एक घंटे में धरती को देता है। और यह अपार ऊर्जा पूरी तरह से क्लीन है, सस्टेनेबल है। चुनौती सिर्फ इतनी है कि सौर ऊर्जा दिन में ही उपलब्ध है और मौसम पर भी निर्भर है। वन सन, वन वर्ल्ड, वन ग्रिड इसी चुनौती का हल है। एक वर्ल्ड वाइड ग्रिड से क्लीन एनर्जी हर जगह, हर समय मिल पाएगी। इससे स्टोरेज की आवश्यकता भी कम होगी और सोलर प्रोजेक्ट्स की वायबिलिटी भी बढ़ेगी। इस रचनात्मक पहल से कार्बन फुटप्रिंट और ऊर्जा की लागत को तो कम होगी ही, अलग अलग क्षेत्रों और देशों के बीच सहयोग का एक नया मार्ग भी खुलेगा। मुझे पूरा विश्वास है कि वन सन, वन वर्ल्ड, वन ग्रिड और ग्रीन ग्रिड इनिशिएटिव के सामंजस्य से एक संयुक्त और सुदृढ़ वैश्विक ग्रिड का विकास हो पाएगा। मैं आज ये भी जानकारी देना चाहता हूं कि हमारे स्पेस एजेंसी इसरो विश्व को एक सोलर कैलकुलेटर एप्लीकेशन देने जा रही है। इस कैलकुलेटर से सैटेलाइट डेटा के आधार पर विश्व की किसी भी जगह की सोलर पावर पोटेंशियल मापी जा सकेगी। यह एप्लीकेशन सोलर प्रोजेक्ट्स का लोकेशन डिसाइड करने में उपयोगी होगा एवं इससे वन सन, वन वर्ल्ड, वन ग्रिड को भी मजबूती मिलेगी। एक्सेलेंसी, एक बार फिर मैं इंटरनेशनल सोलर अलायंस का अभिनंदन करता हूं और मेरे मित्र बोरिस को उनके सहयोग के लिए बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद देता हूं। मैं सभी अन्य देश के लीडर्स की उपस्थिति के लिए भी उन सबका हृदय से आभार व्यक्त करता हूं। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
The acceleration of global is now more urgent than ever. Harnessing the power of the sun, the Earth's biggest energy source.
Thank you, Prime Minister Modi, and what a wonderful example of international partnership shown in that film. I'm now delighted to introduce President Biden of the United States of America and invite him to speak from the left lectern.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, our overriding purpose here in Glasgow is to raise the ambitions of our commitments to keep within reach our goal of limiting global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius. But setting ambitious targets is only half of the equation, as you all know. We also have to have concrete plans for how we're going to meet those goals and decarbonize our economies to reach net zero emissions by 2050. To start, state the obvious, we have to immediately scale up clean technologies that are already commercially available and cost competitive, like wind and solar energy. In the United States, we set a goal of deploying 30 gigawatts of offshore wind by 2030, creating tens of thousands of good-paying union jobs for American workers, and meeting the power needs of almost 10,000 American homes every year. We can do this now. We don't have to wait. At the same time, we recognize that our current technology alone won't get us where we need to be. So it must also be a decisive decade for innovation, developing, demonstrating, and commercializing new clean energy technologies by 2030 so that they can be widely deployed in time to meet our 2050 net zero goals. Clean hydrogen, long-duration energy storage, next-generation renewables and nuclear, carbon capture, sustainable agriculture, and so much more. We need to invest in breakthroughs, and I welcome the UK's leadership on the Glasgow Breakthrough Agenda. Innovation is the key to unlocking our future. That's why the United States is working to quadruple funding for clean energy research and development over the next 4 years, and will lead a year of action in 2022 to advance clean technologies globally. Over the past 2 days, I've announced several U.S. government-led initiatives to help develop and scale clean energy transmission. But we can't achieve our goals through government action alone. I'm looking at some of the men and women in front of me that can help accelerate and develop clean energy technologies. The United States and the World Economic Forum are launching the First Movers Coalition. So let me explain what the First Movers Coalition is, and I expect you already know. The First Movers Coalition is starting with more than 24 of the world's largest and most innovative companies. The coalition represents 8 major sectors that comprise 30% of the global emissions that we now are dealing with: steel, shipping, aluminum, concrete, trucking, aviation, chemicals, and direct air capture. These companies will be critical partners in pushing for commercially viable alternatives to decarbonize these industrial sectors and more. And while championing the U.S. innovation of good-paying jobs at the same time, and the U.S. government is going to use our enormous market power as the world's largest buyer of goods and services, some $650 billion in acquisitions annually, to do the same. The government purchases that much. Together, these policies, God willing, will spur a wave of new and better products into the market and new companies and projects that will create good-paying jobs. So we're attacking the challenge from both ends. We're sending the demand signal loud and clear and investing in research and development to expand supply. We don't just want to innovate in the industrial sector. The agricultural sector also has a vital role to play. As stewards of the land, our farmers belong on the front lines of the climate fight. And together with the United Arab Emirates, I'm proud to announce the launch of Agricultural Innovation Mission for Climate, AIM for Climate. This is something we first proposed at my Leaders Summit on Climate. Over the last 6 months, we've worked with more than 75 partners to catalyze public and private investment in climate-smart agriculture and food system innovation. Today, along with 75 partners, we're going to launch a $4 billion initial investment globally. The United States is planning to mobilize $1 billion of that $4 billion over the next 5 years, and I invite all of you to join us in working to double the investment by the time we meet at COP27. As with every aspect of the climate crisis, no one can do this alone. We need all of us working together. I know you're tired of hearing that said. It's said over and over and over again, but it's true. And as we do, the United States will lead by example and share with the world our considerable powers of innovation. And as my grandfather would say, with the grace of God, the goodwill of neighbors, and the creek not rise, and we're going to make a lot of progress. All kidding aside, I think there's virtually nothing we're unable to do. particularly when we do it together. And again, I want to thank all the private sector for their work. Thank you.
Thank you, President Biden, for telling us more about the First Movers Coalition and AIM for Climate Initiative. Next, we will hear from President Kenyatta of Kenya. Please take your place at the right lectern.
Thank you, and let me begin by saying what a great pleasure it is to participate in this leaders' event on accelerating clean energy, technology, innovation and deployment. And I believe that this event provides us all with a unique opportunity to accelerate innovation and the deployment of clean energy solutions to meet the goals that we set out in Paris. Kenya recognizes the value and the interconnectedness between energy, climate change, and people, and the critical role of achieving the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, as well as the Paris Agreement on climate change. Ladies and gentlemen, demand for energy is on the rise, and there are 759 million people in the world who today have no access to electricity, while 3 billion people do not have access to clean cooking fuels and technologies. At the same time, the energy sector accounts for 3/4 of greenhouse gas emissions, and the critical challenge, therefore, is how to reduce carbon emissions from the energy sector while ensuring that all people have access to clean energy. We therefore need urgently to develop new clean energy technologies that meet the energy demand without exacerbating greenhouse gas emissions. We in Kenya have made significant progress in advancing access to affordable and clean energy for all. And in this regard, we have increased access to electricity from below 30% in 2013 to over 75% in 2020. We have installed the biggest wind power plant in sub-Saharan Africa and are steadily exploiting and deploying available geothermal potential, currently estimated at some 10,000 megawatts, to help us push our green agenda. In these developments, Kenya has demonstrated that it is possible to achieve ambitious development goals while remaining green. Renewable energy in Kenya currently accounts for 73% of all our installed power generation capacity, and while 90% of the electricity that we use is from clean sources. We are on course to achieve our goal, our target of 100% use of clean energy by 2030, and to achieve a 100% access in clean cooking by 2028. In the framework Thank you. In the framework of the high-level dialogue on energy that was held in September of this year, Kenya continues to play the role of a global theme champion on energy access with a specific focus on clean cooking. And to demonstrate our commitment, Kenya did submit an energy compact on clean cooking, indicating clear actions towards achieving universal adoption and use of clean cooking solutions, advancing the achievements of SDG 7, which is to ensure access to affordable, reliable, sustainable, and modern energy for all. We appreciate that low-carbon energy technologies offer more sustainable ways to meet energy demand to fuel economies while simultaneously reducing greenhouse gases. However, access to and deployment of these technologies remains a persistent barrier. Nonetheless, Kenya's long and medium-term policies underpin a pathway to sustainable and resilient economic growth characterized by clean and healthy environment. Countries must therefore invest more in research and innovation, including addressing challenges of technology transfer to accelerate innovations and deployment of technologies in the energy sector. Further, there is need to promote public-private partnerships and collaboration through creative efforts to foster international partnerships, information sharing, and indeed establish novel financing schemes. We in Kenya reaffirm our commitment and resolve to work with others to accelerate climate solutions, keep to 1.5 degrees, and to ensure solutions are accessible and indeed affordable for all. We join the world today in launching the Breakthrough Agenda and say that Kenya is committed to working together with all countries to accelerate the development and deployment of clean technologies and sustainable solutions. Specifically, we endorse the proposed Glasgow breakthroughs pertaining to power and green hydrogen in the energy sector and look forward to transitioning and eventually exiting from the use of coal to clean power. Further, as a commitment to fight against climate change, part of Kenya's long-term strategy that is being finalized, and depending on levels of international support, as well as the principles of equity and fairness, we project to meet net zero target by 2050. We urge all parties to step up their ambition in making clean technologies the most affordable, accessible, and attractive option in their social, economic, and development interventions. I thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you, President Kenyatta. We will now hear from President von der Leyen of the European Commission at the left lectern.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, fellow leaders, I welcome and endorse the World Leaders Summit statement on the Breakthrough Agenda. And the European Union is proud to support all 4 breakthroughs on power, road transport, steel, and hydrogen. I am especially glad that on this COP26, finally, we prioritize the importance of innovation, because it's only through innovation that we're going to get to our goal of net zero. And therefore, scientists and innovators, entrepreneurs and investors, that's whom we have to bring together. They are central for the innovation. They are central to move towards an economy that gives more to the planet than it takes away. For Europe, the European Green Deal is the driving force behind scaling up innovation. It's the Commission and the Member States' governments that, of course, must provide legal frameworks and funding for cutting-edge technologies, such as direct air captures or zero-emission shipping. And of course, it's the private sector that we have to bring along too, to invest to scale up the technologies that are already at the horizon, like renewable hydrogen or precision and carbon farming. It's reform and regulation and investment that we have to bring together, public and private. But we should not forget the third driving force behind all of this. And these are our citizens. These are people who are asking us to deliver, to finally bring together all the things that are necessary, that we move up to a true circular economy. And we know that we all have to transform our way of living, our way of working, as well as our way of producing and consuming, That's only possible through innovation, and only through innovation will we be able to take our people along. Investment, one hand, concrete action on the other hand. Horizon Europe, the world's largest publicly funded multinational research and innovation program, is worth 85 billion euros. Horizon Europe will devote at least 35% of its budget to climate objectives. And to be very concrete, just last month we launched new Horizon missions. One is to have 100 climate-neutral cities in Europe by 2030. And I'm very glad that we see finally the revival of mission innovation. Mission innovation is the striving example of global engagement. All governments pool their investments in clean energy research and innovation. It's over 95% of total government investment that we have finally in mission innovation. And it's good that it's back on the scene. We need it, and it's good that we have it now. In our new global mission on climate-neutral smart cities, we will work together with Global Covenant of Mayors. All this, dear friends, ladies and gentlemen, all this is concrete action on the ground. And in this context, I'm also very pleased to launch today, together with Bill Gates and the European Investment Bank, the EU Catalyst Programme. It is worth 1 billion euros. It's a program that will finance industry's innovation, breakthrough innovation, to bring the newest climate technologies to the market in Europe. Immediately after this session, Bill and I will launch this new initiative. Fellow leaders, ladies and gentlemen, my friends, it is innovation that leads the way. It is what citizens want of us, and we will not disappoint them. The global race for net zero is on, and there is no better race to win. Thank you.
Thank you, President von der Leyen. It's really exciting to hear about the European Commission's leadership on innovation, including through mission innovation and now the new EU Catalyst Program. I'm now delighted to invite Prime Minister Akhnouch of Morocco to speak on my right.
Permettez-moi tout d'abord de remercier le Royaume-Uni, président de la COP26, d'avoir invité le Royaume du Maroc à ce sommet mondial des leaders. Je suis particulièrement ravi de nous voir y aborder le thème de l'innovation, du déploiement de la technologie propre qui se trouve au cœur des préoccupations, de nos préoccupations communes. Le nouveau modèle de développement auquel aspire le Maroc a fixé 5 paris d'avenir à relever dans les domaines stratégiques. Parmi eux figurent ceux de la recherche, innovation et de l'énergie. L'engagement du Maroc dans une dynamique de transition énergétique est un choix politique volontariste porté au plus haut sommet de l'État par Sa Majesté le Roi Mohammed VI, que Dieu l'assiste. C'est un processus amorcé il y a plus d'une décennie à travers une stratégie énergétique ambitieuse basée essentiellement sur la montée en puissance des énergies renouvelables, efficacité énergique et intégration régionale. L'ensemble orienté vers l'innovation adaptée et le contenu local. Actuellement, 50 projets d'énergie renouvelable cumulant une puissance installée de 3 950 MW sont déjà en service. En outre, plus de 60 autres projets sont en cours de développement ou de mise en œuvre. Dans la continuité de ces efforts en vue d'accélérer la transition énergétique, plusieurs mesures sont entreprises pour développer la biomasse énergie, les énergies marines et l'hydrogène. En matière d'innovation, le Maroc s'est doté d'infrastructures de recherche et d'innovation de pointe de la technologie dans le domaine des énergies propres, et ce, afin d'accompagner cette transition énergétique. Dans ce cadre, un réseau de plateformes de recherche d'innovation a été mis en place. Il s'agit en particulier du Green Energy Park, qui est une plateforme de recherche et d'innovation dans le domaine de technologie, ou du Green and Smart Building Park, plateforme dédiée à l'efficacité énergétique dans les bâtiments, les smart grids et la mobilité électrique. D'autres plateformes sont en cours de développement portant sur l'hydrogène, la biomasse, le Nexus Agro Energy Water ainsi que le dessalement. Des grands efforts sont également déployés pour faciliter le financement de ces projets, et ce en encourageant une forte participation du secteur privé national et international. Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs, le Royaume du Maroc a emprunté la voie d'un développement basé sur le développement des technologies propres, sur la promotion de la recherche et innovation verte, et continuera à déployer ses efforts dans cette direction. Afin de conclure, je souhaite féliciter et remercier tous ceux et celles qui sont derrière cette initiative visant à garder l'objectif de 1,5% atteignable et vous assurer du soutien du Maroc à la déclaration globale de Glasgow et au lancement des percées relatives à l'énergie et à l'hydrogène. Merci.
Thank you, Prime Minister Akanuch. Finally, we will turn to President Geingob of Namibia, who I invite to speak at the left lectern to give our final leader remarks.
Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to tell you a little bit about what Namibia is doing to accelerate the deployment of clean technology on our shores and foster innovative approaches in line with the agenda we have gathered here to endorse. This coming decade must be a decade of action. We are running out of time. Namibia is a victim of climate change, yet it is uniquely equipped to play a vital role in crafting the needed solutions and availing the resources needed to make an impactful difference. We traveled here to announce our unequivocal support for the progressive and collaborative action required to save our planet and preserve our way of life. We have just designed, floated, and are about to award the latest tender in our nation's history in a record time, satisfying our acceptance that there is no more scope for business as usual in these dire times. We are calling for the urgent construction of green hydrogen assets in Namibia to manufacture the critical electrons and molecules needed to decarbonize our energy system. The request for proposal floated advocated for speed and urgency, challenging developers to state their emotions in terms of the scale of electrolysis development within a short period of time. In keeping with our endearment for the environment, we rewarded developers for illustrating how this would be done in harmony with the flora and fauna of the national park we have. In other words, we championed policy and supporting legislation that accelerated the development of clean technology and looked to foster innovative approaches to sustainably decarbonize Namibia and the broader global energy landscape. The resulting proposals received estimated the number of potential jobs to be in excess of 30,000, more than double the region's existing levels of employment. More profoundly, they also paid homage to the people of that region and advocated for the formation of a regional development fund over and above the requirement to contribute to Namibia's soon-to-be-launched sovereign wealth fund. This sort of public-private sector collaboration captures the essence of a just and equitable energy transition. To ensure that we captured as much of the value chain as possible for our citizens, we have established a National Green Hydrogen Research Institute, which will inculcate the latest cutting-edge technologies into the classrooms and syllabi of our tertiary institutions. Institutions. We come here to announce our support for the Glasgow breakthrough because we appreciate that the partnership are an essential component to successfully lift the heavy burden. Namibia has always been a child of international solidarity. We remain true to these characteristics. We also affectionately as a land of the brave. Never before has that name been more relevant. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm saying one Namibia, one nation, one Africa, one continent, one world, one universe. With that, I would like to thank you for this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you very much, President Gengab. And thank you to all of the world leaders on the panel. You're now welcome to return to your seats via the stairs on my right before we kick off the next segment. Thank you very much. Thank you. It's clear that countries across the globe are already making significant progress in advancing breakthroughs in power, road, transport, steel, hydrogen, and agriculture. This is not the end of the story, but the start. Powerful coalitions between governments, civil society, and businesses are how we will be needed this decade. Let's now turn to some of the people delivering this change on the ground. Our next segment will spotlight those on the front lines of the clean energy transition, who are leading the charge globally to find innovative solutions on the path to repairing our planet. We are delighted to be joined today by the co-founder of the Earthshot Prize, His Royal Highness, the Duke of Cambridge, and the Earthshot Prize finalists. The Earthshot Prize is a global environment prize framed around optimism, not pessimism, to drive change and collective action over the next decade. Let's hear more from them.
How many people over the years have looked at the moon and longed to visit?
We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard.
Let's take inspiration and set ourselves a global